I don't like the Avatar movies.
Look, I tolerated the first Avatar. It was a mountain of tropes and cliches that had been done 1,000 times before, a story you could write in your sleep, and utterly forgettable characters.
And let's be honest, Neytiri isn't even in the top 5 of blue space waifus.
But it got big for its special effects, people connected with its world and visual design, and the raw theatrical experience. It at least didn't insult your intelligence. The sequel, Way of Water, is where I lost my patience for the franchise. They rehashed the exact same plot as the first one, only with worse characters, less intimidating villains, and padded about an hour longer than necessary by a fictional documentary about space whales. And I would have skipped the third film entirely if Miles didn't insist on dragging me to it. I'm tired of watching the same movie, and I'm tired of it being over 3 hours long!
By every definition, the Na'vi are at war with the humans. Mm-hmm. So why did the Na'vi spend 85% of this movie and 85% of the last one sitting on ass doing nothing?
But it's time to try and feed the algorithm, and they made some tie-in games to that first Avatar movie, so James Cameron's Avatar on the Nintendo Wii. No, really, they slapped James Cameron's name on the title. I joke about how thrilled he is to be associated with crap, but he endorsed Terminator Genisys, so he's used to it. The game's opening is weird. It doesn't mention anything about the planet Pandora, its natives, the Na'vi people, or how humans are invading the world for rare substances. It just babbles some generic nonsense about a warrior standing against the darkness, and then you get a text wall saying your tribe was destroyed and you've been watching the people who did it. Yeah, that explains why you're a half-naked blue dude running around the jungle with a stick. Even the instruction booklet has virtually zero story explanation, just a glorified index with some brief descriptions of some of the characters. Everything about this game screams that nobody on the dev team thought that Avatar was going anywhere as a property. That, or Ubisoft just squeezed out a quick dookie because they're Ubisoft. The gameplay is pretty simple. You walk forward, take out enemies you find, and repeat. And you have 3 main options in combat. You can run up to enemies and swing the Wii Remote to smack the bitch out of them with your staff. You can sneak up on enemies using heights or tall grass and perform stealth takedowns. Or, after the first level, you can snipe enemies with your bow and arrow. And I know I'm playing on the normal difficulty, but the combat feels rock simple. Even the stronger armored enemies kind of have to dogpile you to be a threat. And there are usually tons of health pickups everywhere. There's often no reason to use stealth when your melee strikes have a massive area effect and take down enemies in just a few hits. The real problem with the game is the controls because of how much the game tries to forcibly automate everything about how you play. Every single time an enemy is in the area, the game forces you into an obnoxious, toe-curlingly slow stealth walk, and there is no way to run or improve your speed. And the game keeps you locked into the stealth walk, even if the enemies know you're there and are actively attacking you, meaning the stealth ship has fully sailed. The best you've got is a lunging jump forward to haphazardly hurdle yourself around the stage if you want to get moving. This makes the controls woefully imprecise, and this will be important later. The camera is a constant annoyance. Sometimes you can move it, sometimes you can only move it a little bit, and sometimes it snaps back to where it was the second that you release the D-pad. You can freely turn the camera with the C button that marks items of interest, as long as you don't move while doing it. And there is a lock-on to target enemies with the Z button, but you have to hold Z constantly to make it work, and I've had instances where the targeted enemy wasn't actually on the screen. And even if you directly aim the camera at someone, you have zero control over which enemy you lock onto. The game just picks whoever the hell it feels like at pure random. There's loads of crap in the environment that you can't jump to or climb over because the devs decided to hard code jumping prompts instead of just letting you jump on shit. And even if there's a prompt to climb the terrain, you have no guarantee that it'll actually work. And it's not like the levels are even that big. Every single stage is a stifling, narrow hallway with nowhere to go. But they're still clogged with terrain that looks like you can jump it. especially with how athletic the Na'vi are supposed to be from the movie. Everything feels so clunky and sluggish that just playing is a tedious chore. So the story begins with your character trying to recover the stolen relics of his tribe while this human military dude, Colonel Conrad, exposits that there's a mysterious disease infecting the wildlife and turning them rabid. And don't get used to having actual cutscenes. The bulk of the story is told via ungodly cheap text walls over still images of random scenery. Somehow managing to out-cheap Aquaman Battle for Atlantis, which at least had panels. Even the one brief cutscene that we do get has multiple skips where the models just snap around, on top of Conrad's face having been beaten with every ugly stick ever. And the text walls take great pains to never refer to your Na'vi by name. I'd guess it was done for immersion or something, but your Na'vi does have a name. It pops up when you find ways to block the camera. It's Ryuk. So the devs were either big fans of Death Note or the Japanese Kamen Rider Dragon Knight. I will say, though, I enjoy the jungle ambiance during the cheapo text walls. It's like a soothing white noise machine before you can find those for free on YouTube. Eventually, your Na'vi finds the guy responsible for the destruction of his people, Sean! No, really, our main villain is not the colonel who's running stuff or any kind of major army general. It's just some dude named Sean, who may or may not be a cold-hearted bastard. So you chase after Sean with a flying stage that plays like crap. You don't steer with a control stick. You don't steer by tilting the Wii remote. You steer by tilting the nunchuck, which has vastly worse detection than the remote and involves carefully moving your non-dominant hand. There's a delay to your movement, and the game is so restrictive about how far you can move, you're not sure how much of the bad steering is due to the Wii versus the game itself. Well, if you haven't figured out the game's trying to be a crappy stealth title, level 4 spells it out for you, because pretty much the next 5 or 6 levels straight involve going to a human military facility to sneak around laser tripwires for cameras and turrets. Because yeah, this is the gameplay that you wanted from an Avatar title, right? Not platforming through the jungle, interacting with crazy wildlife, or fighting sci-fi robots and tanks. No, you wanted sneaking around lasers for a few hours. In almost every section, there's a power box that shuts down the security and opens doors, and you're supposed to get there without being spotted, since turrets will shred you and cameras will spawn armored enemies with heavy weapons. The problem is, a lot of these little stealth puzzles feel so haphazardly thrown together that it seems like there's no real solution. The box will be planted in front of a turret that swivels too fast for you to break it. Even with the detective vision, you'll be hard-pressed to actually find the power box in the first place. And again, you're locked down to an abysmal movement speed. I often just said screw it, got caught, and fought off the enemies that spawned. Which you can do because your melee strikes wreck people. It's worth mentioning at this point that the game has an upgrade system to power up your staff, your bow, or the rage mode that I completely forgot that I had and never used. The staff upgrades seem largely useless, but you need the faster overcome skills to smash power boxes and open gates faster. Many of the laser tripwire puzzles are impossible without them. I pumped most of my upgrades into the bow because the bow is friggin' useless when you first get it. It takes like 3 full seconds to zero in on a target for a solid hit. You can't move while aiming the damn thing, and not only do you stand bolt upright so all the enemies can spot you, I swear the game sounds a silent alarm so that enemies magnetize towards you while using the bow. The hitboxes on the terrain are such garbage that the game will constantly block clear shots. You need to snipe enemies out of guard towers that are so miserably coded that you can only hit them from one unseen angle, and the bow uses the Wii Remote's pointer, which the game doesn't normally track. 9 times out of 10, you pull out the bow and the pointer is off screen and you need to wrestle with the controls to get your aiming cursor to pop up so you can actually use the damn thing. And even once you go through all that, armored enemies still take 3 fully powered shots to put down, making me wonder if this thing's actually useful or just a minor convenience. Sean gets away, so you fight an armored exosuit that the humans use in the movies. You can't fight the exosuit head on, so you have to use stealth to attack its blind spot from behind. You do this by hiding for a few seconds until everyone forgets where you are, because the game's stealth AI is completely worthless. Yeah, enemies by and large don't even try to investigate where they lost track of you, and the few who have grenades to flush you out can't aim them worth crap. You just crouch for a few seconds and the enemies go back to forgetting that you're even there. This all makes the stealth gameplay that's crammed down your throat pathetically easy if you have the patience and lack of value for your free time. Foes also seem to have zero peripheral vision or any sense of hearing, given how easy it is to wipe out a dude a few feet away from another enemy and get away with it. Bros, come on. Stealth is not the genre to go with when development is a rush job. It takes carefully planned maps, intricate and precise mechanics, enemies that can tie their freaking shoelaces! At one point, I even got enemies who blew themselves up on exploding barrels. Brilliant! You fight Sean in a helicopter by riding your dragon, which should be much cooler than it is. The fight is mostly quick-time events, where he heals if you screw up. You and the chopper go down, you get rescued by this dude Ta-Sun, and he helps carry your dragon to get healed up. So, joy of all joys, level 6 is an escort mission. Escorting a giant dinosaur thing that constantly tries to advance without you, while you cover it using your slow-ass tedious movement speed so that enemies get tons of free shots before you can physically reach them. And yes, Ta-Sun is so blitheringly stupid as to drive his dinosaur smack in the middle of 3 automated turrets so that he gets massacred while you look for the damn box to shut them off! Dumbass. Oh, and a text block says that Ta-Sun gave you a better staff so that you can melee attack the mech suits. Yeah, you can melee attack the mech suits, and deal so little damage that you are guaranteed to get your blue ass handed to you. And why the awkward text screen? They really couldn't be asked to render a short cutscene of the already made character models and the already cast voice actors going, "Oh hey, I see you lost your staff, here, take mine." How lazy can you get? And this happens like 5 times over the course of the game as your staff and your bow keep getting swapped out, only it doesn't even say if your new weapon is an upgrade or not. Was there meant to be an equipment system that just got scrapped along with any competent stealth mechanics? What am I saying? They reused this flying through the floating mountains rail shooter stage like 3 times. Of course this thing was rushed. Ta-Sun's people are struggling since they set up on the one place on Pandora that doesn't have any water, so Ryuk just instinctively knows a human's built a dam that he needs to destroy. I'd bitch about how Ta-Sun's people don't lift a finger to help you, but given his knack for standing out in the open trying to block bullets with his face, that's probably for the best. Now, on top of the laser tripwires, you have sonic things that detect you in a full circle and operate so fast that there's not really a way around them. This led to the one stealth encounter all game where I got stuck for a while. This chunk of level has a scripted event where you get caught no matter what you do, so armored dudes with rocket launchers come in, and it turns out there are 2 or 3 separate pockets where more enemies have spawned, so they just seem to come in endlessly until you die. All made worse by the fact that I have no idea where to go. Eventually I spot a zip line that leads further into the level, but I can't reach it because Ryuk can't jump that high. How do you grow up swinging through the trees of a nightmare steroid jungle and you can't hop a simple fence? Well, after tediously baiting out all dozen or so of the enemies, I can freely explore this corner. There's a gate that I didn't see off to the side, which leads to a jump I didn't know was there, which leads to the power box tucked away in the corner that shuts off the sonic thingy, which then lets you reach a box in the corner that you had no idea was there, which then lets you reach the zip line. Crap in a hat! Ryuk destroys the dam and saves the Leona tribe and gets a reputation as that guy who messes up humans. So then this naked girl asks for help in stopping another human military base that's eradicating her people. And hey, we actually run into a character from the movie, Sigourney Weaver voicing Dr. Grace Augustine.
Where did you learn our language? I have never seen you before. What clan do you come from?
Sorry? Sigourney Weaver voicing a Vulcan, voicing Dr. Grace Augustine. Grace tries to tell Ryuk that not all humans are bad, which might carry more weight If I weren't here because this young girl you're working with, Doctor, yeah, her people are getting exterminated by the humans? You got anything to say on that? You gonna teach Earth math to solve the problem of her people getting trampled by tanks and mowed down with bullets? The next stealth level introduces landmines, which you will perpetually try and fail to guess their effective range. There's a bow upgrade to shoot and detonate them at a distance, and it fails to work like 20% of the time. Blow up. Blow up. Blow up. Blow up. Blow up. Blow up! You destroy another military site, but then Ryuk has a sad because he finds a radio where one of the soldiers recorded a message for his family. Because you are meant to feel bad that the dillweeds strip mining the planet and eradicating all life that they can find have kids. Yeah, bite me. What little scraps of story the game has try to push the idea that Ryuk is an asshole for fighting the humans, that he's kicking off a cycle of revenge that's only going to make things worse. Thing is, though, that's horse crap. Ryuk attacked this base because a desperate girl came to him for help saving her people. Ryuk attacked the dam because it was literally starving out a tribe of natives. The escort mission before that was purely self-defense. Even at the start of the game, you're stopping poachers and retrieving stolen artifacts otherwise bound for criminal operations. And while some of the enemies cry out that they're avenging some friend named Ross, who, by the way,
that's not a thing!
Most of the enemies brag non-stop that they're going to gleefully destroy the planet if you don't stop them. At literally no point in the game is Ryuk the bad guy. But the game will not stop trying to gaslight you into thinking he's a horrible monster on the edge of the abyss. Oh, look, one of the anonymous people at this base had kids. Screw the damn kids! Having family does not preclude you from being a douchebag. Oh, look, Ryuk's quest for revenge is pissing off the humans and making things worse. This is all your fault. You should have let the Na'vi get plundered and starved and massacred, or else they wouldn't be getting plundered, starved, and massacred. Are you shitting me? You know, there's a terrific board game called Spirit Island where players control guardian spirits protecting an island from invading nations. The game has tons of different enemies and player characters, all with different playstyles, and it has a massive catalog of events and arsenal of powers to where no two games ever play the same. And I guarantee you there has never been a scenario of Spirit Island where the spirits go, oh, those invaders who were going to ravage our people and blight our island might have had kids. What have we done? No, you smash them, and then you keep smashing them until they're so terrified of you that they get the fuck off your island. There is no moral debate here. Invaders bad, kick their ass. The last 4 entire levels are non-stop combat. Ryuk goes to one of Pandora's magic trees to talk to Eywa, the planet's guardian spirit or whatever, and she basically tells him that his revenge quest will spread to all the Na'vi and destroy the planet.
Seeking one thing.
Oh God, stud!
Yeah, bite me. You go to see Eywa in the middle of the night in a level so dark you can barely see what you're doing, by the way. You have a boss fight with Sean, and by boss fight, I mean that you fight the exact same mech suit enemy with slightly more health. Gee, this could possibly be a difficult trial of skill and cunning if the stealth weren't so half-assed you can just dive behind the enemy, immediately do another stealth attack, and whoop the boss's ass in a single minute. Ryuk decides that revenge is totes bad, okay? And he goes home to find an army of human military craft marching down his new village of innocence. You have 2 more copy-pasted fights with the same helicopters because that shit never gets old! And you just fight more of the same copy-pasted dudes until the end of the game. Yeah, if you were expecting battles with tanks, ATVs, ground battles against helicopters, or encounters with heavy artillery, yeah, dream on. The game has exactly 4 enemy types. Normal dudes, armored dudes, heavier armored dudes, and the mech suits that lack backup cameras. They gave so little of a shit about this game that it hurts. Case in point, the Hellfire Wasps. Now, the instruction booklet describes the Hellfire Wasps as these animals that you can commandeer and use to scout ahead and screw with the enemies, But the booklet also says that you need to have the Wii Motion Plus installed or they don't work. It doesn't freaking matter because I can't use them anyway! I finally found a Wasp Hive and it won't do anything. It's not marked as interactive. I tried pushing A or even shooting it from every possible angle and nothing happened. Wii Motion Plus or not. I thought they just deadass forgot to program the wasps until Miles said that he'd used them and they're laughably useless. Actually, the games box also says that you can use the Wii balance board to play it. Yeah, you know what the balance board is used for? Flying the Banshee. That's it.
Well, my balance board is refusing to connect to the system, so how badly the Banshee controls with weight, I guess we'll have to go unseen.
You run into Colonel Conrad, that guy who's shown up twice and been level-headed and reasonable about how his men were dicking around with a Na'vi and they needed to stop. And now he's an avatar and a raving lunatic screaming that he's going to massacre all the Na'vi because you took out some of his men who were massacring the Na'vi. This is classic abuser, look what you made me do logic, only the game wants you to agree with him. Dude spends this whole final level screaming racist remarks, and you're still meant to think that you are the problem. Anyway, you fight some hordes of basic enemies. Conrad is supposed to take shots at you, but the game's so badly coded that he just forgets, until he comes down to fight you himself. Some trial and error revealed that he's immune to damage, and you're meant to bait him into stealth takedowns. Translation, walk circles around a tree stump until his brain fries and he sits there motionless. I take it that there was no IQ test for Conrad's job. Ryuk finishes off Conrad, you read a lovely text wall about how a big-ass monster came to tell Ryuk that he's done good, and Ryuk leaves to tell the rest of the Na'vi that they need to fight the invaders, but not to let revenge corrupt them. So, what's the message here? Fighting is good as long as you're not pissed off about it? Sure, whatever. All's well that ends well, I guess. Except I can't help but think that we forgot something, like a plot thread that was introduced like it was going to be the crux of the story, only to never be referenced again. What was it? Oh yeah, that cutscene after the first level was about an Earth syndrome virus that's driving Pandora's wildlife violently insane with no clear cause? That shit is never mentioned a single time the entire rest of the game! It's not a reference to the movie either. The one actual plot thread goes completely ignored. Probably because it would have meant programming an actual third enemy type that actually does something interesting, or fighting a boss other than another damn helicopter, or writing an actual plot with intrigue and a payoff. They did not give a shit about this game. They just rushed a generic licensed title through production, using a genre that falls apart when it's rushed, and barely even tried to make it feel like the property being adapted. I wasn't a fan of Avatar, but it still deserved better than shovelware Drek. Well, gone are the halcyon days of the channel where we can just cover the crappy Wii game and leave it at that, so I picked up the Xbox 360 Avatar game as well, and the two versions are night and day. For one thing, the high-def game is actually good! You play as a human soldier shipped to Pandora for the Avatar program, and within an hour, you're complicit in a genocide. Yeah, there's zero ambiguity. Humans are douchebags. You're given a choice to fight for the Na'vi or the humans, and I wish they fleshed out the mechanics a little more before you made your choice, but I get it, we're on the clock. The game is a full third-person shooter in massive semi-open world stages that are chock full of enemies. It genuinely feels like a large-scale bitter war, and the always something going on feel reminds me of Spider-Man Web of Shadows. It's kind of immersive, and the first Na'vi stage has a lot of verticality to it, so it actually feels kind of unique in a crowded genre. The two factions play differently, with humans focusing on heavy firepower, while the Na'vi focus on melee, agility, and auto-aiming a bow to snipe at people. You carry 4 weapons at once, there are multiple vehicles for the humans and animals for the Na'vi. They actually tried with this! They gave it the full ass! I mean, yeah, the story is no great shakes. You get led from point A to point B as both sides fight over a well of souls that can control the planet. But the action is fun! I played for a few hours, and my only real gripe is the vehicle controls. Flying a Banshee, the controls lag, the steering is stiff, and the picky bastards won't land anywhere! Come on, land! Land! We're floating over perfectly good ground! Sit, you finicky bitch! But honestly, apart from the lack of open world side quests, this doesn't feel like a licensed Rush job. I might actually come back to this just for fun down the line. You look at the high-def Avatar game, an asymmetrical open world shooter with tons of weapons and vehicles, and you compare it to the Wii game, a virtually plotless haphazard mishmash of half-baked vague stealth elements. It's like, what did Nintendo do to Ubisoft Montreal to make them hate the Wii so much? I guess when a single studio is pumping out 5 games a year in the high-def era, something's got to fall through the cracks and slam into every rock on the way down until its mangled shell is found by some wandering idiot. Like me.